Welcome to the HawkCast with your host, AJ Hawk.
Hey, we're live recording. Corey Linsley Center, Green Bay Packers. What's up, man?
What's happening?
So, do you know what a podcast is?
I've heard of them.
Have you ever listened to? Do you listen to anything?
Yeah, I listen to Rogan a bunch. You're a big Rogan guy, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Rogan, stuff you should know. I listen to this one called Philosophize This. I listen to a bunch of them.
So yeah, you were being sarcastic when you said you've heard of them. Well, honestly, man, a lot of people I talk to, especially athletes, don't know what a podcast is.
Yeah.
And does that surprise you?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Just because I feel like a lot of guys on the Packers listen to podcasts.
Well, I feel like, I don't know. I guess Green Bay has a different feel than some. I don't know. It's a weird. I think guys almost take on the feel of the city. Like people there, old school. It's like you're in the 50s. They'll carry your groceries to your car. They'll do whatever to you. Like they're so legit nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe guys have more free time on their hands, so they will listen to different things like that and go to the movie theater. I mean, like it's a big thing, man. There's one main theater there that you can see a lot of the Packers when all the good new movies come out.
Yeah, Ma and Pa store downtown, and you get your twine, and it's good stuff there.
Go to the bar, a couple local bars, right?
A couple ice houses.
Well, you're just a small town kid. You're not Boardman High School, Youngstown. That's not small, is it? How many kids you graduate with?
Yeah, 420 actually. So it was decent size high school. It was pretty big.
No pun intended, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, 420. You came out. What year did you graduate high school?
2009.
Was Ohio State your only? Was it Ohio State or nothing? Like, where would you have gone if Urban didn't come down and give you the gold coin to the city?
Well, it was Dressel. He I played
right.
for 2 years. Well, yeah, then Fick for one, and then Urban for the last two. But it was there in Stanford basically. We had a coach out, a Boardman grad out in Stanford, DJ Durkin. He's the head coach at Maryland now.
Yeah,
I think.
I called one of Maryland's games this year, so I got to talk to him in the pre-production meeting.
He's awesome. He's intense. Big time handshake guy.
Yeah.
He's got a big handshake, strong. But it was basically there in Stanford, and I had a couple offers, but those were basically the two.
So you can, I don't know why. I guess you're so young. So you got done in 2009. Coach Tressel recruited you. He was there. You say 2 years for Tressel?
Yep.
And then he has to resign with the whole tattoo scandal. So you lived through. What was it like going? Did you have any, like when you first heard rumblings? Was there any thought crossing your mind that hey, Coach Tressel's not going to be here anymore?
No, that was a really crazy time. Now that I think about it, just because I feel like people ask if the first thing after how's Coach Meyer is like what was it like during the tattoo thing? It was kind of a crazy time. I remember being on break or something, Thanksgiving maybe, and my mom and I were in a restaurant, and I saw it on the news. And I was like, "There's no way anything's going to come up of this." And then all those guys that got suspended, or like that were going to the following year, and then Solomon Thomas was the fifth guy, and he has that pick in the Sugar Bowl. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was just like it was the craziest thing. It was like you couldn't script this in Hollywood. It was like everything was just calm. It was happening so fast, and then all of a sudden I thought it was all going to blow over, and the next thing you know, Tress is resigning, and everybody was just shocked. I remember driving back because he resigned when we went the following. I think it was like the following June, and we went on break for a week. He resigned, and I remember driving back with a buddy of mine, JT Moore, and we were like, man, I can't, like, what's going to happen? It was just, we were in the state of, it was like in the middle of a hurricane, man.
Did you have was he able to address the team at all and tell you guys what happened? Like, hey guys, sorry, I got to step away?
Well, I remember the workout that we came back for, he actually met the team privately in the Woody, and then after that he left, and we never saw him again from that, from at Ohio State. So it was just kind of like I love you guys, like, an emotional speech. It wasn't anything, self-explanatory. But it was crazy.
Was Coach Tressel, was he emotional in that?
I mean, he kept his composure. You know him. He's a stoic guy that he kept his composure. But it was wild, man. He just, I felt so bad for him because you know what I mean. It was just, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, for people that don't know, what did obviously he had to resign because of all this, but what started like the tattoo scandals? What guys were getting? So they were going to a tattoo guy. He was giving them free tattoos, and that was what kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think it was similar to, remember when Troy Smith got suspended for like a game or two?
Oh yeah,
because he got the FBI was like searching, like auditing that guy's car dealership or whatever it was, and found him at the very end. I think it was Troy that did that, but it was like the same thing. The FBI, I think, had been like looking at this tattoo parlor for something or other, and then they went in there. There was a bunch of memorabilia. And then they kind of like connected the dots between that. And I think what ultimately got him was that he had been sent an email, and I think he didn't disclose that email to anybody else. And then that's what ultimately, you know, it was like the forthcoming sort of thing. He wasn't forthcoming with it.
Do you look back now, and now that you've been in the league for a while, and you think, wow, like that is absolutely nothing compared to what goes on in college football?
Oh my gosh, man. How about that? Yeah, that was like the biggest scandal at the time. And then like Penn State happens, and you're just sitting there like, whoa, this is nothing, you know. And then now it's Louisville, now it's Michigan State, now it's who's Baylor. Like all those.
God, yeah. Baylor they cleaned house. Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
The players are all gone that were there throughout this crazy like sexual assault scandal with multiple players and cover up. It's ridiculous.
It's nuts, man. That was, we were choir boys compared to those guys.
Yeah, and I also mean too, I talked to guys throughout my time playing in the league, and I wouldn't say everybody, but 75% of guys that I talked to, like, oh, you went to Ohio State? Like, oh man, I bet you got so much money. And I always tell them, like, honestly, man, they never believe me. I'm like, I didn't. I don't know if I had people looked at me and thought I was a snitch, and I would tell on them if they offered me money or something, but it just didn't come my way. But I speak to a lot of guys all over that played at big-time schools all over the country, and they were getting – it was like the movies. They're getting duffel bags of cash and everything from agents, boosters, everybody. It's it's very common. Yeah, no,
sorry. That's I know exactly what you're talking about. That – you walk in exactly like, how much money did you get? How much money did you get per week? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a fifth rounder, like center. Like, what? I'm not balling out here. But exactly. Like, you talk to guys in and out. They're like, how much money did you get? Like, man, I don't know. How much money did you get? Like, oh, you know, we got 1,000 every week. I was like, all right, man. Like, must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole NCAA. Do they ever come to you and ask how to fix the NCAA? I know it's one of the most corrupt situations. I know they say pay the players. My only question is how. Like, what does that look like when you pay the players? How do you show me a plan? Like, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing with that is that, you know, if you go down that path, you have to have. Obviously, some players bring in more revenue than other players. Like Braxton Miller obviously brings in more revenue than I do, right? I did. But so, you know, when you get that into it, dictating what players should receive what, you know, then you get representation, you need lawyers involved and everything. So that's obviously not the route to go. But I do think I've heard the idea of putting a fund together, because it's got to be equal, right? It's got to be across the board. Everybody gets the same amount, because you can't have Urban going down saying, hey, you're going to get $10,000 more if you come to Ohio State than when you go, you know, then we're in the same boat again, right? So we're with the paying players and everything, but they off the books. But yeah, I think just a fund of some sort, maybe like something established, like a bond, some type of investment. I think that's a decent way to go, because honestly, on the other side, there is a large amount of revenue being made. Basketball, March Madness, now with the college football playoffs. I mean, it's been going on for a long time now. There's revenue being made, and there's people not getting paid for it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know what I mean. But I think some type of investment, steady investment that you get after you're done with college, that you grab it's kind of gets you off the ground and everything. But the people that say that they shouldn't be paid and they're already getting a scholarship, I mean they're as dumb as the rest of them, because it's like, well, it's an industry. I mean, they're making money. You know what I mean? This isn't just a scholarship. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, they're
What's
bringing.
yours?
Well, I mean, athletes are bringing it's a huge service, a talent to the university that brings in like a guy like Braxton Miller at Ohio State, JT Barrett, who just got done. Millions and millions of dollars are brought in because of guys like him. They sell his jersey, doesn't have his name on the back yet, but just his number. We all know who it is. And so they're providing basically a service for free, and it's just it's a free farm system for the NFL. So it's the greatest deal ever. It really it's not as simple to just pay the players, because I don't know what that looks like. Where does the money come from? And if you open the door up, all of a sudden is, okay, who has the best boosters, which is what schools already do. They just the athletic departments. I've been around them. You just every school, it's not illegal. You go around and you just entertain the big donors, and you want them to continue writing big checks to your school so you can build new facilities, because every school is building. Clemson has a slide in their workout facility now, so Ohio State's in constant construction, rebuilding new places. I mean, you go down there, I'm sure, even since the time you were there, it looks way different.
Oh my gosh, I'm waiting for them to put like a section of the Columbus Zoo in there. They just have like a petting zoo there. They're like, oh wow, this is so cool. I'm coming here now.
For real. When you're entertaining recruits, you might as well. They'll stick in their mind. They got snow leopards at Ohio State, man. I don't know.
We're definitely gonna be Michigan now.
They got snow leopards and baby giraffes. I'm going. I gotta go. They said I can take one home. I can put it on a leash and walk it after practice. For real, like that's how crazy. That's recruiting, though. Like that's. So you said Stanford was another option. Was did that? What do you have to do to qualify? Is it much more difficult to qualify for Stanford than say Ohio State or anywhere else?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's like a sliding scale. You know what I mean? You're if with respect to how good you are, but they but for me, I guess it was it's more difficult obviously than Ohio State. I wanted to go out there, man. Have you ever been out to Palo Alto?
Yeah, I called one of Christian McCaffrey's games there. It's the best. Are you kidding me? David, the head coach, Shaw, is awesome too. Yeah. Great dude.
You know what was crazy too? When I went out there, I met with Shaw, and he was the offensive coordinator at the time. Harbaugh was the head coach.
Oh wow!
And so that was kind of crazy. But I went out there, and he was like, I forget who was at quarterback, but they're like, we have a redshirt freshman who's going to win the Heisman. I was like, man, there's nobody at Stanford going to win the Heisman, But then it ended up being Andrew Luck, and it was, goes on to be this stud first overall pick and everything. So that was kind of crazy that I could have ended up playing with him, which would have been pretty cool. But Stanford, it was when I went out there, they were telling me, they're like, our guys do, and I'm like, I'm 16, and they're like, our guys do internships with venture capitalist groups. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is. So can I get a country or language of origin? But I had no idea what he was talking about. I look back on it now. I'm like, man, that would have probably been a good idea.
Yeah, thinking of, I guess going back and thinking of 16-year-old Corey, it might have been funny. But now looking at you, how you're such a weirdly smart, unique dude for the sport of football, especially O-lineman. Do you feel like you, I guess – everyone knows, I've said it a lot, O-linemen are just a different breed of humans. Like, you hang out together and just fart and just have their own language and just say dumb things, and you think corny jokes are funny. It's just like what O-linemen do together, and that's what makes them good. Do you feel like, have you always fit into that role, and do you feel like as you get older, is it harder to relate?
Yeah, I mean, I guess well, man, the guys up in Green Bay, City and TJ and Brian, those guys were hilarious. It's exactly like you described, but I feel like, it's always been like that. It's just, I think Dave Bakhtiari told me, I forget who it was, one of his coaches. I think it was Coach Marshall. It's a mushroom society. They lock you in a dark room at the end of the hall down there, and we grow. But it's just that, you think corny jokes are funny. In high school it was the same thing. All us guys, they're nuts and everything. Yeah, O-lineman stuff. Nobody gives you love, so you kind of gotta make up your own fun.
You played guard though in college, didn't you, for a couple years?
Yeah, for like a year or two. Then I moved to center, started snapping the ball over Braxton's head, and then they were like, "All right, maybe we should put him back." But nah, I ended up
What?
all right.
What'd you play in high school?
Tackle, typical like biggest lineman, put him at tackle.
So did you, when you committed to Ohio State, what did they tell you? Just interior lineman, or did they tell you center, guard, what?
Well, Bowles, Bowles came up. He was like,
Bowman. Jim Bowman. Yeah, for people that don't know, where is he coaching now? He's coaching somewhere.
I think he's still at Michigan State, isn't he?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I still remember him. I remember seeing him across the field. I didn't say anything to him when we played him in the Big Ten championship. I saw him. I was like, I just waved to him, and he kind of got the last laugh on us that year. Yeah. But Bowles came in, and he always used to say, he was like, Robbie Sims was 6'2", and he played tackle, and I was like, man, I don't think I'm Rob Sims. I think I'm gonna stay inside. But yeah, it was basically guard center for me.
Do you feel more comfortable at center than guard?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody talks about the the calls and everything, the mental aspect of it. I like that, but I think the quickness in the initial game, I think that's why I fit at center.
Now, what about those calls? I think that's something. It's unique to each team, though. How much responsibility is put on the center? Everyone knows now with all the mics. Do they put a mic on you for the TV?
Yeah, my back. Yeah,
every game.
It's for. Yeah.
So they can hear. But that's the thing. When you're calling out, you're always calling out the mic. Can you explain to people what you do, like what your responsibilities are? Like, say you break the huddle. Ready? Corey says 1, 2, 3, team, and you guys clap and you walk to the line. What goes on for you as a center though? What do you have to identify?
Yeah, well, we actually say roll out the barrel.
Oh,
with every clap.
That's got to be tough when you're tired, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's that focus, man.
That's right.
I'm trying to wear them down mentally, but they, I mean, with every team it's different. Like I've talked to other centers. I mean, with Aaron, he's obviously intelligent, probably most intelligent quarterback that arguably in the league. So with a guy like him, you go up, and what he always says is get the call, get up to the line, make the call, so we have a starting point, and the urgency aspect of it is probably the most important call, and then the most important part of it, and then past that, it's communication.
Well, what are you doing though? So these are the funny things that I've learned through talking to people. What is super common to you is not to anybody, especially you're on the inside. So you get the call. What are you doing? What's that first call?
So whether it's pass or run, whatever the play call is, it's going up and pointing basically to let everybody else know where we're working off of. So it's not necessarily like the guy that I'm blocking or the guy that anybody else in particular is blocking. It's not consistent through everything. But when you go up to the line, the initial point, whether whatever linebacker that we're identifying, that lets everybody know where their blocking assignment goes to. Because we call a play, and it's not always set in stone where we're going. We're not just, we may look like it, but we're not just running to areas and falling into guys. So it's basically letting everybody know where their blocking assignment is on that play based on the front, based on the defensive look. So past that, Aaron obviously has a great view of the secondary, has a great feel. So he'll figure out if he needs to make an adjustment on that play. Sometimes we'll see something, I'll see something, the guards will see something, and we'll say, hey, we need to make this call. And so we'll adjust the ID. And so it'll shift people's blocking assignments. So, and I've talked to guys on other teams. Sometimes that responsibility is entirely on the center, where they handle everything, coverages, all this stuff. And then I'll talk to guys where the center doesn't do any of that, and the quarterback does everything. So it's kind of predicated on how much experience your quarterback has, and the system itself.
Do you feel like you'd be bored in a system where you did none of that?
Hell no, it'd be awesome.
Really? So we don't even see your point. You just come up there, but this is heaven.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, the less you can do, I guess, right? But it'd be cool. I don't care. I'll do whatever's required, right?
Yeah, so I had Josh sitting on here, I don't know, maybe 8 months, a year ago, and City was, I don't think you guys do this. It was his gig where he had to tap the center for the cadence, I believe. And I'm watching him, and he's looking around, and he's always, City's, he's the man. He's sitting, like, panicking, like, oh, man, we got play clock. I got to tap him, let him know. And I always would ask him, I think he said how, he's like, he would have Kyle Long on the other side when Kyle was playing guard, and he's like, Kyle's got 9 feet long, like a wingspan of Michael Jordan, and he could easily tap the center. I got these little chode arms. I'm trying to tap the center and get to my, like, he's like, I don't know why it's on me.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Do you guys do that? You guys ever have that?
No, we don't do that. I head bob. It's just for away games for them. So with the crowd noise and everything. So they, I mean, you know that, but they, but yeah, I do the head bob. So I'll look between my legs, and then Aaron will lift his leg up and give me the signal to snap it. So that that's the way we do it.
But that's not always. You could head bob quick. Look, he gives you a signal, but then it could be almost like on 2 or 3, right? Where you're delaying. Like you can't snap every time you head bob, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have different. It's structured where sometimes I'll turn my head to the side and all that. Sometimes I'll snap it whenever I feel like it, and they get yelled at. So it's pretty much on me, really. I make up the call as I go, so kind of have free reign to do whatever I want.
It's see?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, especially for a guy like you. You're like I know it's how you live your life, right? Like as a dictator, you just like to run the show. So when Aaron got hurt, then and Brett Hundley steps in, does your responsibility change?
Not immediately. I mean, Brett was pretty familiar with the logistics of the whole operation, but he so that didn't change too much. But then as we got going, it kind of we made our slight adjustments to whatever Brett needed to do.
Can you see the play clock from your stance at all times?
Sometimes if they got a play clock on the field, like a big, you know what I mean? I think they might have it. Is that like regulation that they have to have it?
There's got to be some kind of regulation, but they're always different. They're always in different spots, though.
For sure. They should look at regulating that. What are we talking about?
Well, what would be? I think what would be a competitive advantage as a defense. I know I would try to do it at times if it was a low play clock and I could get the center and he's looking up and I could just shimmy left and right if I see him trying to look for the play clock to snap it on time. Like, yeah, right, buddy. If I was bigger, it'd be easier, but I'd try to put a guy head up on you at all times. Just if he could feel your eye movement, try to shield you from seeing the play clock.
Just bring out a blanket or something. Like those towels. They take off the towel. Take the towel off their hip.
There you go.
They can do that.
Is it changed, though? I know they've changed rules because we all know everything is skewed toward the offense, and I agree. I like seeing points scored. I don't want to see a 10-7 game, but with the center, I know that was a big thing when you had these hard head bobs. Yeah. You get called for a false start, can't you?
Yeah, it kind of depends on who the ref is. And they'll tell you, I've never had a ref just throw the flag on me and just tell me afterwards. They've always come up to me and been real cool. And you always got to, you got to be cool with the refs too, shake their hand. How's it going? How the kids? They, and then you got to, and then they come up to you and they say, hey, your head bob's a little fast. You slow it down. And then, it kind of works like that.
Yeah. How have you, I can't remember watching any. Do you know how many bad snaps you've had in the shotgun?
Well, on Twitter, I've had 1,000, but they, it is kind of on some of the away games. I had trouble with it because, they'll line a guy right up on my nose, straight up and down. But they, so it was kind of difficult for me to get up out of my head bob as quick as I can, and so the snap was kind of floating down. So that was probably my only issue. It was a little bit low, but I don't think I had any bad snaps this year. I had a couple my rookie year, like 2, I think. So that was it, like really bad snaps,
Well, it's much better low than high.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He can get down and A-Rod can get down and field a grounder. If it's 4 feet over his head, you can't get it.
Yeah, exactly. He's athletic. $26 million guy, man.
Left-handed, one-handed, doesn't matter where it's at. Just put it in this vicinity. It's on you. Do you ever get that? I see it happen sometimes where a center will, people a lot of times don't recognize it. He'll think quarterback's under center and he's really in the gun, and you'll snap it and hold it against your ass like, oh, and then it's a fumble.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever done that in a game.
Don't you think the QB needs to give you some more pressure? If you think he's there, if you think he's there and you can't feel him, then he's not there. That's his fault.
Yeah. I think now that you say that, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but I remember because I'll hold the ball differently. I grip it differently if it's in the gun or whether he's under center. And I remember being in a game, and he's like, I hear his cadence, and it was at home. It must have been at home because of he's shouting the cadence. And at the last second, I feel him going, and I'm like, oh my God. It's like, here we go. So it was I let Jesus take the wheel and just put it back up there. And I think it was all right because I don't think I, fumbled it. But under center, when he gets under center, I think I've had a couple more under center just because I think it was one in the Houston game last year. I don't think I had any this year, but yeah.
What about your first career start, your first game as a professional? Can you explain a little bit of what happened? And it was in Seattle, correct?
Yeah. It was so JC got hurt. JC Treader, who's at the Browns now, he got hurt in the third preseason game of that year, and so I hadn't taken a snap in there, and we were playing Seattle, first game of the year at their place, and it was Thursday night, whatever that thing is, the big.
It opened the season, correct? I think it opened the opening of the whole NFL season, and this was 2014, and we're going on the road to play Seattle, arguably the loudest stadium in the NFL. Yeah,
exactly. They're coming off the Super Bowl win too, so they, they're all jacked up. So so I'm nervous as hell, and hey, I finally get over the hump. I had watched. Are you a big Lord of the Rings guy? You like Lord of the Rings?
Nah.
Awesome.
Are you?
Oh yeah. So,
okay. Well, explain how that helped you out in that game.
I really drew my inspiration from Frodo, and
is that the one Rudy's in? Is Rudy in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, Rudy's in there. Yeah, Rudy's in. Yeah, he Samwise Gamgee. I think it's his name. But yeah, I had just finished watching. I love those movies as a kid. I just finished watching like the uncut director's edition over the course of like 5 days. I had just come to a point where I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to be all right. And then Bruce Irvin had said something like in the media about how he was going to pray for me because this dude was going to kill me, the nose guard, Mebane. And I was thinking to myself like, oh, and I didn't know who he was. I was like, oh, who's Bruce Irvin? He's probably some, like jerk off, whatever. So I look online and he had been like kicked out of high school or something, went to West Virginia. He's from, I forget where he's from. He might be from Oakland. I don't know, but he, tough guy, obviously. And I was like, son of a bitch, man. This guy's praying for me. So I'm all nervous. And I get out there. And, of course, I got Brian Balaga was nice enough on the bus ride over there. He gave me my own seat. He took a seat with Clay Matthews. He said, you're nervous enough. He pats me. And so that was nice. That calmed me down. But so we go over to the game and, I'm warming up and everything. And Ariana Grande like sang the opening of the national anthem. And I'm just like shitting my pants. I'm like, my God. But I thought like, I thought, if you ever been like jumped off of like rocks into like a quarry or whatever, doing stupid stuff. But if you like falter or pull up at all, that's when you're going to get hurt. That's when you're for sure going to get hurt. You know what I mean? You just got to go ahead and do it. Put your head down and go. That's what I thought of. I was like, man, I just got to go out there and do this shit. First play game, I don't even remember what happened, but I remember feeling like, all right, this isn't that bad. You know what I mean? And then you get into the flow of things, and it was pretty cool. It was after that I settled in and we got our ass kicked, so that wasn't cool. But
it wasn't your guy. Yeah, I think we gave up almost 40 points. They were on. That was a tough situation to play in. They were on fire.
Yeah,
but the greatest comment for you is though nobody. If they wouldn't have known you were a rookie, nobody noticed you in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't have any messed up snaps. You didn't give up sacks. No one got big TFLs over you. And I remember going into that game And I'd known of you obviously watching you play at Ohio State, and then you came into however many 6 weeks probably you've been around, and in 2014. And what I do remember is guys making a really big deal out of the noise that was going to be happening in Seattle. I think you guys got some weird earplugs the O-lineman did that week you worked with. Did you wear them in the game?
No, we didn't wear them in the game. I think I might have worn them for the first drive, maybe, but we were just like they hurt more than they helped.
So what? And you guys, there was all this buildup, like, oh man, rookie center who just got thrown in too because Treader got hurt third preseason game. You only had basically probably 10, 12 days to get ready, and you obviously played well, and bam, it was on from there. Do you think that getting into the NFL, I guess, making your first start, playing like in that adversity, did that like catapult you? Like, oh, okay, cool, I can do this.
Yeah, I think that, and then on top of that, well, the first 3 weeks were the Jets, who had Sheldon Richardson and Muhammad Wilkerson, and had like a stout D line. They had Harrison too, and then we played at Detroit. Was the third game, so I felt like that was like the ringer. You had to go through the gauntlet. But they, after that, I was pretty calm. I was pretty nervous up until after Detroit, and then I was like, okay, I feel settled in now.
What you guys do when you can't hear as like the whole offensive lineman? What can you, as the center? How do you know when to snap it?
It's the silent count, the head bob, that whole thing. That's what we do it for. The foot,
everything. So it's all on you, though. That's some weird pressure at times, because if you hold it for a split second long, or guys are they can't anticipate. They got, like the tackles, if they can't hear, they got to look inside. But that's a lot of pressure on you, where everyone starts moving and you're just hanging out. Like everyone knows the old picture of the center standing there and everyone's kick sliding. You're like, cool, I'm not moving.
That was on you guys. No, that's you got to hold it, you got to sell it, man. I think we do a pretty good job of that. We time it up, we work on it every week. We'll get into arguments about what with this and that, but I think like we have a pretty good system. I don't feel like we're ever too badly out of sync when it's silent count. So I think we do a pretty good job of that.
It just affects that's what makes me think it affects the offense so much more, because as a defensive guy forever, cool, whenever we go on the road, and for the defense, now if their crowd has any intelligence at all, they won't be going crazy on third down for their offense, because then it messes their offense up. And crowds are smart; they realize it. But at home, it's almost on the flip side. At home, we can't. When your crowd goes crazy on third down, but it doesn't matter for us. We're getting off on the ball. But for offense, and especially as the center quarterback for the center QB exchange, that's a huge difference playing on the road compared to home. Yeah,
it's a huge difference, and I think I actually heard Colin Coward say this, and I'd never heard this. It was awkward coming from a reporter or whatever, but I thought it was correct. Like, great, like, what travels really well are run games, and it's part of that is because more times than not you're under the center when you're running the ball, right? That's general tendency in football. So I guess when you're under center and the quarterback's got the cadence, everybody can hear him better, and I think that's part of what makes playing on the road so difficult is that noise. Obviously, it's a passing league. Everybody wants to get the pass stats up and get the ball out. So I think that's road so hard is it could take the most important part of the game out of the game in the passing game. You know what I mean? The protection wise.
Yeah. When you guys the run game, you need that get off at home. Think about that. That's a full almost step or half a step your O-line has on the D line.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I mean,
I played offense growing up. I didn't play offense long enough until where crowd noise was a problem. Even in high school games, with a ton of people there, we could still hear. But when I think about it, I put myself in the offensive guy's shoes. Yeah, man, especially as the center. That's the thing. Everyone else can figure, like, worst case scenario, I'm just going to hang out and look at the guy inside of me, and I'm going to kick off. I'm going to go when he goes. But for you, looking down, what's the toughest thing they can do as a center? Just put a guy head up right over top of you?
The toughest thing, and this is what they started to do last year, especially when we had, I think I saw a stat, we played with like 11 different offensive line combinations throughout the 16 games. So what the defenses started to do, and you saw this out of like better defensive, better coach defenses, was they would they would line up a guy on my left side and wait for the second head bob or the third head bob, and move the guy to the other side, because they knew the young guy, whoever it was, probably wasn't going to tell me.
Yeah.
So and we hadn't really discussed that yet. So that's something that we had to get better at throughout the season. And no matter who was, it was funny. We'd learn it with a guy, and then another guy would come in. We're up in Minnesota, scared at, a new guy comes in there. He's just trying to get the play down. You know what I mean? So it's that was something that we had. That's probably the hardest thing that we had to deal with.
So if he moves, let's say he moves after your head bob, all of a sudden you pop your head up and you're looking to your left and he's not there.
Oh yeah.
And so then you're okay, here we go. Does it just put you on an island? Like, what if you're sliding left already and you're all slid left, and is this dude free?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's it's one of those oh shit moments. The lookout blocks.
Yeah. What do you dive? You try to dive and throw your left arm back and trip him, grab his shoe,
roundhouse kick him in the face. That's about all I got left.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden you pop your head up, you look to your left, he's not there. You try to recover here, and then he's already got 2 steps up the field.
Yeah, and he's on your edge. He's trying. The best thing you got now is to hold him, grab the V of his neck, hold him, try not to give up a sack, help the quarterback out, not get him killed. So that's
grab the V of his neck, get a 15-yarder, get an extra 15-yarder for horse collar, and get a fine. Right?
It's a blast.
Would that be? No, it wouldn't be 30 yards, would it? If you horse collared him, it'd just be a 15-yard flagrant, right?
I don't even know. I don't know that they've ever called like a flagrant on a holding. I don't know.
No, I mean they'll just call horse collar, and if you drag him down, and then you'll get a nice $28,000 fine.
Yeah.
Have you been fined?
No, I've never been fined. No.
Never been caught like spitting in the guy's face or anything like that?
No, yeah.
You haven't been caught
tossing
yet?
Dust up. Dirt up in their eye.
Okay, when your time at Ohio State, so Urban came in what year were you?
It was going into my redshirt junior year.
And you were already playing though, weren't you?
No, I had been a backup up until then, and then I was kind of like slated as the starting center, and then I had to obviously earn it.
Well, what didn't Urban say? Corey went from a nobody to the apex of the offense. Wasn't that one of Urban's saying? One of his.
It was. Appreciate that, but he said that. I was a backup. Went and that was kind of his deal. It was the same deal. Like center's got to be the starting point of the offense, making the points, all that stuff. So that was what he was speaking to, really. So they that was kind of what that all happened when he first came here.
Why does he say? What did he say? You're nobody. Weren't you just stuck behind good players, or did you think you should have been starting?
No, I mean there were jobs open. Going into my redshirt sophomore year, just didn't play well enough to take him. I had gotten suspended that year, so for the first 2 games, so that kind of started behind the 8 ball on that one. But so then on top of that, came back, was a rotational guy, didn't play well enough because that was the year that all those guys were suspended. So there was we had Mike Adams, and I think Mike Adams would have been the only one that was out for a couple games that year. I can't remember how many games, but so that was the opportunity that was kind of open. So there was a bunch of guys rotating in and out, and then just didn't play well enough, and that's what happened.
So that's when Luke Fickell was the head coach for the year.
Yeah. Mm.
Luke was my linebacker coach during my time there. He's now the head coach of Cincinnati, and Luke is the man. What was it like with Luke as the head coach?
It was. I've said this before too. Luke, obviously, everybody loves him, and he is a hard ass, I should say badass, dude that was in your face trying to get you to perform. You could even see that on the other side of the ball. And it was like, you don't really mess with Vic, Yeah. So they, and you saw that with Vrabel too when he came in. It was funny that they played together and stuff, but it was funny to see that. But they, but when he got the head job, and he was the interim coach, you kind of saw him take that step back, because not like a literal step back or literal, not like a figurative, as in like he was. I don't know. He was a worse coach. I'm not trying to say that. You saw him not deliver that same. He tried to be more professional. He had to be the professional, now he was the face of the one of the nation's top programs, and he was everybody. All eyes were on him. So you saw Fick. It was that transformation where I think that helped him. Obviously now at Cincinnati, I think getting thrown into the fire like that, and having the nation's eyes on what's Ohio State going to do this year with the interim coach and everything. That especially when Urban came in, he saw that and saw all of the struggles that he dealt with, because it wasn't just the suspensions. It was the media, the culture, the guy recruiting. I mean, how do you do that? You know what I mean? And even though the season didn't end up, bowl eligible and all that, so it wasn't like a complete loss, but it was. You saw him become, I think, the transform into this head coach. You know what I mean? He's no longer the position coach you saw, kind of like screaming at his guys and all that stuff. All that. You saw him become this professional head coach, which was awesome to see. And again, that's why Urban. I think that's why he came in. Urban saw what he dealt with and the struggles that he had to go through and how well he performed under that. That's why he kept him around. I think that's why he's there now.
Yeah, Luke's going to be super successful at Cincinnati. He's 3-time state champ, high school wrestler, crazy. I say all the time, might be the toughest guy I've ever met.
Yeah, no doubt.
He would. I respect him so much, and I think he would kill me. Like if he felt like I slighted him, I think I'd be dead. He'd be like, "Hey, I know you got kids. I got to do it."
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Got to do it. I got 6 kids. Look at me. I got to kill you. Yeah. I'm sacrificing. I could go to jail for this, but you got to die.
Yeah.
Like if I felt like I told him like, nah, you loafed on that last sprint. If I told him that, I didn't. Yeah, he's awesome. I wish him all the best. What'd you get? You got suspended 2 games. What happened?
Yeah, just violation of team rules. Classic. Yeah, classic violation of team rules.
He wasn't a neck tattoo, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was a tramp stamp. It was it was the barbed wire right over my.
2 games though. What do? You can't go to the game then?
Yeah, I had to chill. I think I played golf with my dad one day. That was super depressing. So I was
my God, yeah. Like day of game, you can't go. Were you able to practice during the week?
Yeah, I was able to practice, do everything normal. Just couldn't go to the game. I think I went in the next week. I lifted. I went in and got some arms in. So figure make the best of that. But it sucked. I mean, it really when you get that, I think that's why you see a lot of these guys they'll get suspended and then you never see it again. When you get that, you're like, this sucks. This really sucks. I think injured. I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times. The guys that are practicing and look over at the injured guys. They're like, oh, look at them riding the bike. And then you go over there and you end up riding that bike. You're like, this sucks. I'm no longer jealous of these guys riding this bike.
Yeah, that'd be a really weird situation, especially Ohio State. Saturdays, anywhere near Columbus, everyone knows Ohio State's playing, especially if it's a home game. It's crazy. You went and played. I guess what would you do? Would you want to sit there and watch the game live? That'd be tough to watch the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I didn't watch the games. I think that was a little bit too hard. That's why I tried to distract myself or lift. So that was pretty much how I handled it.
You played golf with your dad. If your dad was checking his phone for the score, did you smack it out of his hand?
Yeah. Dad's like, oh crap, they scored. Shut up, Dad.
Yeah, they're not. The offense isn't doing anything because I'm not out there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're secretly thinking?
Yeah.
They go put up 65, and you're like, I'm just so happy for our team. Yeah, we're doing good. I'm glad we ran for 480 yards without me.
Oh, shucks. That's hilarious.
Wow, so. What was it like playing for Urban? That's crazy though. You basically played for 3 head coaches at Ohio State. That'll never happen again for anybody.
No, that was kind of an interesting, point in time. I think that that it was. You're right. I mean, you saw a lot happen. It was just a crazy time, I think. And when Urban came in, we definitely needed myself first and foremost needed a culture change, a culture shock a little bit, and get guys that really wanted to be there because, again, during, you saw this, and it sucks to say this, and this was one of those struggles that Fick was dealing with, that like some guys just, they thought for some reason it was like a year off, that this year, with Tressel gone, they thought it was a wash, whatever. It's Ohio State, like we'll just rebound next year or something, and because we got all these guys, it was a bunch of built-in excuses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of like that crept into the culture. On top of that, there was 1,000 different things going on, and so when Urban came in, we had this series of 5 a.m. workouts that he came in on Monday, cussed us out, and then said, everybody show up on Tuesday, 5 a.m. We were kicked out of the locker room, and we had to do these workouts that we were outside, and we weren't allowed to wear Ohio State gear. So it was nuts. I mean, there were coaches screaming. I remember Mark Pantoni was screaming at me. I didn't even know who the hell he was.
Wait, isn't Pantoni a football ops guy?
Oh yeah, he was just yelling at me. I'm like, who? Like I don't even know who this guy is. I laugh about it now with him, but he, so it was crazy. They, those guys were just. It was a crazy time, and we lost a lot of guys. We saw them drop off the team because of one reason or another. Some just didn't show up. Some had. Got pulled. I remember one kid, I don't remember who it was, but I remember hearing he got pulled over on the way there, showed up late, get out, so it was that type of thing where it was that cutthroat, like you're either with us or against us at that point. So it was a crazy experience. Those were the hardest workouts of my life. And that it coincided. I was trying to get my shit together. So I was like, what, I need to find a major, found a major, econ, and I was taking 20 credit hours, which is like the max. It was a little bit below it. And so I went there at 5 a.m. and then I had class from 8 until 4 basically. And then 4:30 was the run. You know what I mean? So it was a crazy year.
Is this winter time, your winter workouts?
Yeah. This was January. It was end of January through March.
Yeah, those are for all college programs have those like a month. We called them 6 a.m.s, even though it was like 5 a.m. Yeah. But it's just, hey, you're going to go die for 18 workouts, 15 days, whatever it is. And it's absolutely brutal. I can't imagine with Urban coming in and setting the tone. As you said, the team felt like it needed like a reset probably or a wake up. Was that when was his first day? Do you remember like the first meeting you had with him whenever he got hired?
The first meeting was before the Gator Bowl. So it was actually before, because he had just gotten announced that he came in, said what's up, bounced, came back. And so then the second one, we had, it was like our first official team meeting. There were some guys that showed up late. So that was like, that just like threw fuel on the fire, you know what I mean? So it was, this whole thing just blew up in mid-January. So it was really like the third meeting where he just kind of lost it and kind of just said, we're going to push the reset button, was what he kept saying, was kind of like our motto, our theme for that off season. So it was good though. I mean, I think, as bad as it sucked, no one would ever want to go back to that. But I think that everyone would say that we all needed that, regardless of whether you were like me trying to get your shit together or whether you were, John Simon, who was, on his way out. I think everybody benefited from it.
Is that a weird feeling when you see him come in and kind of raise hell and he says we need to reset? It's like when a coach says after a game, like, that one's on me. That's me. That's on me. All you know is, oh man, okay, we're gonna kill each other all week in practice.
That's the absolute truth. When you hear that, that's the worst thing that you could possibly hear. That one's on me.
That one's on me. I'm gonna get these guys right, and your whole team's like, oh man, all right, how many concussions are we gonna get this week?
No, it's on me, coach. It's on me.
No, it's us. Put it all on us, coach. Let me talk to the media. But are you in a weird spot when you're sitting there, like you said, you're in a weird time of your college career too, where you're trying to get on the right track. You're taking all these hours, and I'm sure you're thinking at the same time, like, this is really good for our team, but isn't there also, like, I know from experience, there's like weird, whenever you know, like, the unknown of these workouts, it's gonna push me to the absolute limit. There's also, in my mind, was always like weird, nervous anxiety, like at all times, that never stopped.
All the time. All the time. It was. I remember sitting in the locker room and we were like, I looked over. I think Ivan Blackman was like, "What do you think we're gonna do today?" I was like, "I'm not even guessing anymore. Like I'm just, I'm putting my head down. I don't even care, man. Whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna suck." So and then we started laughing about it. But it was, at that point in time, it was. You're right. You're nervous. The anxiety level, my blood pressure is probably through the roof as like a 21-year-old. But but it was a crazy time. You're right. That crazy, just constantly on edge, constantly, nervous and everything. It's crazy. It was a crazy time.
So you played 2 years then for Urban, right?
Yep.
How did your relationship change with him from that day when he came in to when you, let's say, like senior day?
Yeah, I think obviously, I mean, I grew to love the guy, and some people say, he's there's 1,000 different opinions on him, just like there's 1,000 different opinions on Saban or any other great college coach. But I really think that he has a player's best interest at heart, and I think I grew a lot. Obviously, our relationship became real close, and still talk to him. Asked about my wife. Asked about, busting my balls about when we're gonna have kids and stuff. So I need to quote with that. But he's a great dude, and I think that through all of that, obviously, I became very close with him, and I think that honestly, as a team, we all became real close, and all those guys. It's strange how all that stuff brings you together.
Have you ever been in like a function where Urban he's like the keynote speaker?
I don't think I have, honestly.
You've probably seen him like at your senior banquet or something at dress.
Yeah.
But I've been at a few different things where I gave a little talk maybe, and then he was like the keynote guy, or I've just been at different stuff around Columbus, and I even texted him afterwards every time I've seen him speak. I'm like, honestly, it was really, really good. And I wasn't really expecting it. I was thinking like, he has so much going on. He has so much on his plate.
Yeah.
I would think, why wouldn't you just kind of like mail it in and say like, looking forward to a good year for the Bucks. We're gonna work hard. Go get them, and that was it. But he would like get into it and get emotional and then have funny jokes throughout it. And he had a real good message about like taking ownership. And that was like, I think this was a year ago maybe. He was going to go talk to the team. Like, it was taking ownership of what you do. And he gave these cool stories about how he probably told you guys as players, I didn't play for him obviously, but something how he used to rent an apartment back in the day when he was a GA somewhere, and guys would come over and leave beer cans on the wall and kick holes. He's like, I don't care. But then he bought a house with Shelly and his wife, and he would slice the guy's neck if he dropped a beer can on the ground. And I own this place. This is my house. I'll kill you.
Yeah, he said that. He's told that story a bunch of times. That's hilarious that he said that at a public event. Where
he didn't say he'd slice the dude's neck, but he'd say how he'd kick dudes out and he'd be pissed because I own this place now. I have ownership. And I was like, damn, that was a really good way to illustrate your point. I was like, I get it. I'm trying to come up in my head like, how can I illustrate these stories I'm trying to tell?
Yeah, I think that's part of what makes him a great coach. That he has that ability to, and I don't think it's bullshit. He's not like a bullshit motivational speaker. He's like really trying to motivate you. He's a speaker who's trying to motivate you. You know what I mean? He doesn't just wear the label. I remember when he first got to Ohio State. I think he spoke. One of my best friends was on the track team. He was a thrower, and Kurt came home one day, and he was like, man, Urban's nuts. And I was like, why? He goes, he spoke to the track team today. I go, how'd that shit go? And he was like, well, he started off kind of calm and talking to us, and he points at a kid and he goes, what did I just say? And the kid just, had no clue. He goes, pay attention. And he starts, that's screaming. It's like a forceful, direct talk. You know what I mean? And he starts going off about, just like you said, accountability. Like, what are you going to be doing? He said some things in meetings where I'm like, it's so outrageous and so like, I can't believe this guy just thought of that. But it's real. Like, just like you said, like that house, example. Like he said things in meetings where it's like, he's like, what are you going to do when your kid looks at you one day and they're like, why does our life suck? Like, why does it this and that? And I'm like, wow, like that's outrageous. But it honestly, I mean, it hits you. You're like, I want to do well for my family because I don't want I want my kids to be proud of me. I want to do well so that I have a great life. And, he's kind of thinking for you down the road. Because as a college kid, you're not thinking about anything. You're just drinking beer cans at your apartment and putting holes in the wall. But he's on that same note. It's like, it's one day you're going to own a house, and one day, somebody's going to put a hole in you. You're going to be pissed because you pay the mortgage now, so you don't pay the rent.
So you said that's my house. That's my house, right, Corey?
That's my house. Not up there on a bend. That's my house. Hey, yeah, that's real though. I really think that hit home with me. I was like, I've never put two cents into anything past age 21. So that's at the time, you know what I mean? So it was cool, man.
It's very true. That's the same thing. Coach Tressel, every single day we'd have meetings like that to where there's nothing, this is not about football. This is about you as a person. And he would do things like that to where he would like forecast down the road. Like, I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about you as a human. And at the time, I'm like, okay, I get it, kind of. And then each year you get older, I'm like, I remember them, and I use the same things on my kids, and I remember it. I'm like, oh my God, man, it's true. Because you can't, even as engaged as you are, when you're 20, 21, 19, whatever, it's just not thinking about that. You're right. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive when I'm 22. Like, kids, who are we talking about?
About how much I can bench.
Exactly. Like, I tore my damn pec and it really threw me off.
Quiet time.
Yeah. How was quiet time? You had quiet time. Yeah. Didn't you enjoy that?
Oh my God, it was awesome. It was. I was always nervous because you call on people to get the quote. So your favorite quote out of the section you had to read. So I always made sure I had one. But I never wanted to be that guy just standing there like like having to find one. But Tressel's quiet time. That's why I think.
Explain it for what people don't really know. What was it, that quiet time?
So like every day, he was meticulous about it. Every day at the start of camp was like 30 days straight with Tress. It was Monday through Saturday. You had Sunday off, and it was every day. We'd have I think it was a double session, then single session.
Yeah.
And so it was a grind. But every day he would start the meeting with quiet time, and we had this book. It was called The Winner's Manual. He wrote a book, right? Mm-hmm. He published a book about with that title. But we had a folder. It was a 3-ring binder. My high school coach did this too because he thought it was such a great idea. And we'd have different sections, and every day it was a different section. And you'd look at this category, whatever it was. Like I don't even remember what the categories were, but they'd have quotes. They'd have inspirational stories, whether it be like a kid with Down syndrome overcoming that adversity, whether it would be an old fable, some story, the quote like the 2 wolves, which one do you feed? You know what I mean? That quote. It was just stuff like that, and you'd read it. You'd read about these inspirational stories. A father, how to be a good father, how to be a good brother, a good husband, whatever it is. And then you'd write down what the quote was, what your favorite quote was, and you write down it was just like what it meant to you and stuff.
And didn't you have to write? It would have a line that would typed up, "I'm thankful for, I'm grateful for."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
I use that. I use that with my kids all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's all about the repetitive nature of it. That you can sit down at Thanksgiving once a year and think about what you're grateful for, but the constant repetitive, drilling it in your head, like I'm so thankful to be here right now. Look at the opportunity that you have. I wish that would have been. You're extremely fortunate. I mean, you know this, but to have gone through him for 4 years, I wish I would have experienced that. I don't regret experiencing Urban at all. I'm just saying with like Tress, that would have been when I matured. Got my shit right to really fully appreciate all the quiet time, the Winner's Manual, and all that stuff. It was awesome.
Did you? Well, I guess you kind of transitioned out of that when Coach Tressel left. But when I got to Green Bay was Mike McCarthy's first year, In the NFL, there's just not time for that. But I found myself early in camp missing the quiet time, the winner's man. I'm like, man, like the second you sit down in the NFL, it's football instantly.
Yeah.
Like this meeting, we're going right into game plan and what we're doing. I was like, man, can we do like 5 minutes of just something like what's going on in the world or something like the winner's manual? I really found myself missing that, and it's I wish there was more time in the NFL and they could do that. Yeah,
no, you're right. I mean, and plus it would be. I think it's beneficial in life. It's beneficial with whatever. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's great to just sit there, reflect, have that meditation. Some people do it just with meditation. With their ayahuasca tea and their shaman. Whatever they do, whatever they do, it's that nature of reflection. Thinking of what you're thankful for, reading inspirational stories, stepping away from the moment, and then coming back to it.
I'm gonna start to wrap this thing up, but you big news for you, I guess. When did you sign an extension in Green Bay?
Signed it. I think it was either the 30th or the 31st of December. I think it was 29th or 30th.
So
but it was
right before the last game.
Yeah.
And how does that process? Would you have been an unrestricted free agent? What would have happened if you let it roll out?
Yeah, I'd have been an unrestricted free agent. Going to free agency right now. So I'm thankful to be back in Green Bay. I mean, it's an awesome place. It's a great culture. Obviously got great players up there. So it's I was thrilled that they wanted me back.
You signed a 3-year deal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't you think it's weird when your contract details and the money is public?
Yeah, it's real weird.
I agree.
It's real weird. Yeah.
I found out why that happened. I'm like, man, why are you talk about how players have issues with family members coming and leeching off of them and friends leeching off of them. And I'm like, stop making everybody's salary public if you don't want them to know. They know this dude's getting $60 million guaranteed. It's going to bring the people out from the woodwork. If you try to keep that private and they're like, no, man, you know what it is? It's like it's the NFLPA and the agent. They want the NFL to look like it's growing. And look at this. It's an image thing that builds it up and gets advertisers to pay more money for the TV time. And it's just a whole roundabout stupid thing. I'm like, man, I guess I get it. But I always felt really uncomfortable that everybody knows. They know like everything in your contract too.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. It's real awkward. It would help a lot if the whole world didn't know how much money you were making, like most jobs. But yeah, I think that's just one of the pitfalls, right? Like how they list quarterback shoulders on the injury report or the
upper body, right?
What's up?
He's got an upper body.
Yeah.
It's like hockey teams and the Packers. You don't need. I agree. McCarthy does that. He would tell people in the meetings, if you want to tell the media what your injury is, that's fine. That's on you. But I don't know why you would tell them. Why would you get so specific? Just tell them I got a shoulder.
Yeah, I got two. I agree with that. Was awesome when he said that. He's like, it's up to each man to tell them what their injury is. But you're right. Like, why would you say anything?
And why would you give a time? Okay. So you're really close, I'm sure, with the trainers there and equipment guys. That's something that people don't know everywhere. Like the trainers, the equipment guys, strength coaches. Those are who you see every single day. You spend so much time with. I still talk to Nate Weir and Fleet all the time, and equipment guys all in Green Bay. I officiated Nate's wedding. I've said on here a million times. Like those are who you get super close with. And I would ask them. They would always. I'd be like, why are guys giving? Like, why do I see these timelines on guys' injuries in other teams? And they say, I have no idea. Like, why a player or a team if a team gives a timeline, says, okay, he has like a 4 to 6 week timeline for his return. They say, okay, so if it's 8 weeks, he's not healthy. They're gonna say, what is this guy? Is he just a vagina and he's not tough? He can't come back and play from this. And so why give those timelines? It's so dumb to me. Yeah,
exactly. I have no idea. I guess the only thing that you can do is people can just give you the thumbs up if you're like at 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Instead of 6. I mean, what else? What benefit do you have from releasing anything about anybody's injury? There's literally no payoff. Every single scenario tells you to just shut up, but you're right. I mean, the trainer. I think we're so fortunate you're obviously to have played up there, but me still being up there, we're very fortunate to have the guys that are up there. I mean, shoot, Nate gave me the shirt with Ryan.
Stand
Ryan,
up a little bit. Show the YouTube.
well, Zima.
Refreshing Zima. See, you young millennials don't know about Zima though.
Well, it made a comeback. It made a quiet comeback.
Oh, the hipsters are making it cool again, or what?
Yeah, it's gentrified Zima. It's awesome. It was delicious. Zima's terrible. It is real gross.
Awful.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Flea, Nate. I mean, those guys all up there. They're awesome, and all the equipment guys, all the staff up there. I hear stories from other guys in other places where it's just like they got these egos, and that they got. I mean, Dr. McKenzie, you saw this year, which unfortunate that it had to happen like this, but you saw like players, Jordy, who never speaks about anything, come out and defend this doctor. Mm-hmm. It was just speaks to the level that we of professionalism and the family culture and everything up there. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. You guys had a weird situation. I was talking to Aaron about it. I saw him a couple weeks ago when you had a dude drive in and try to run people over in his car or something.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
What happened? It was always it's out there. It's on Twitter, and then boom, nothing. So I assume there's some kind of Alex Jones InfoWars situation happening.
Yeah. Well, the chemtrails, they sprayed them out. They came down real fast. You know what I mean? So they had F-16 fighter jets just driving right over Lambeau.
False flag. Definitely a false flag.
Definitely false flag. They, that was crazy though. I remember sitting there, and I actually was eating lunch with Aaron. I think it was the day before a game, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah. So I was sitting there, and it was me, Jordy, and Aaron answers the phone, and he's talking, and he hangs up, and he's like, "I think we got a shooter in the building." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I think there's a guy with a gun who tried to like run into the." He's explaining it, and I'm like, he's like, "I'm gonna go find out more information." He gets up, he walks away, and we're like sitting there like, is he joking? And next thing you know, they pull the seamstresses out of the dungeon, and they're starting to pull everything, the cooks and everything, and they're all getting them out, into the lockdown area, and we're like, Jordy and I are sitting there, they're like, what the hell's going on? So we're, I get up, I'm waiting, I can't remember what I was waiting for, but I was like waiting around, and I went into the training room. I'm like, is this for real? And then, next thing we know, I go outside, and it kind of pissed me off because I was driving out, and I drove right by the guy's car because obviously I'm going to take a picture of it. It was wedged underneath this minivan. It was some like tricked out, like one of those cars you see at Taco Bell late at night with the sound system in it. And so I would drive by, I'm taking pictures of it. And then I read later that they thought he had a bomb in his car.
Oh, jeez. And
I'm like, all right, why'd you let me drive by? Nobody told me to get the hell out of here. But, it was crazy. I guess the guy was just pissed and, brought it. I don't know if he shot off the gun. I don't even know if he had a gun. Probably didn't. He probably works for the CIA. But but regardless, it was a crazy scenario.
So did he try to run somebody over? Why was his car wedged under another car?
I think he initially tried to run through the gate of the so there's like a loading dock behind Lambeau, and there's like a gate, but there's this giant bar that his car wouldn't have cleared, gone under. It was real low to the ground, but wouldn't have gone underneath this bar. So I think he just got pissed, and then he ran into the car of whoever he was pissed at. And then he tried to get in. Then he ended up getting in, and then it was all over. So yeah, I don't know.
So they subdued him somewhere, probably in the loading dock.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he did pull a gun. He pulled a gun on somebody. I can't remember. I don't know. It's all fuzzy. Probably those chemtrails.
On you? He wasn't coming after you. You sure?
I mean, he could have been. I don't remember.
As you're driving by, taking a picture of his car, and he's chasing you.
Shit.
Yeah, it was so weird because like any breaking news like that, it hits and it's like on the moments part of Twitter. Like that's where Twitter's just a live news stream basically. You find out what's going on instantly, and it happened like I think it may have said possible live shooter or car. They showed a couple pictures that probably you took and posted, and you probably got pissed that they didn't give you credit. And I watermarked it, Linsley 7-1.
We have to sift through the Russian bots that are all like trying to say it's like, oh, Hillary's in Trump's Lambo, and you're like, all right, this is a Russian bot, block, So and then eventually you find like a decent story like my pictures, and then try and figure out. So it was great.
And they erased them. They saw your internet browser history, and they'd erased them all right away.
Oh, right away.
Oh man. Well, that's a good way to wrap this up.
Yeah,
and this thing, I appreciate you coming, Core. Where would you send people? I know you're not a giant like self promoter. Where would you send people if they want to find out about you? I know you and your wife do some good work. Hopefully down the road you have some kids. Urban's right. You should have some kids eventually. Are you fertile?
As far as I know, yes.
Are you gonna have kids someday, or are you gonna wait till you're done playing?
Yeah, I think we're talking about it. We're in discussions right now, talks. But my people are talking to my wife's people, and we'll get something worked out here in a few years.
I got you. How long are you gonna play? I didn't ask you. Like, do you want to play forever?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I'll see how my body feels. I guess.
I mean, you're not one of those guys that say, "Oh, I'm gonna play till I'm 30 and then I'm done."
No, I'm not one of the. I would never put a timetable on it. Just like our Green Bay tells us. But yeah, I think. I mean, I'd play till whenever. But yeah. Speaking of that, if I'm sending people somewhere, my wife and I are involved in an organization called CASA. It stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. And so basically, what we do is you have to go through a training class, but they training, I guess classes, but you get certified you basically hang out with kids that are in the Child Protective Services program. They've been removed from their household that they were in, and you just hang out with them. They're under the age of 12, so they can't testify in court on their own behalf. So you basically testify for them. So that's like we saw the slogan is "You're the voice for a child." So that's it's a really awesome way to get involved. They're all across the country. There's probably one if wherever you're watching from, you could at least learn about it wherever you're at. But it's just an awesome way to like directly get involved with the community, and especially because giving to a charity every now and then, you don't get that sense that you're doing anything really, putting forth effort in the community. So it's an awesome way. And the kids, man, we got 3 CASA kids right now. They're awesome. You just see them, their eyes light up every time we come over. It's been the most rewarding experience. And I really encourage people to go out and find out if they have one in their area.
Yeah, what's the website again?
You can just Google search CASA.
We'll put a link. Is different. We'll link it up. Yeah, CASA, yeah. CASA, right?
Yep.
We'll put a link up. Yeah. How did you get into that?
So the lady who was the executive director, Kristen Jacobs, up in Green Bay, her father was a coach at Cardinal Mooney, so Youngstown, and her uncle was the AD, maybe. Her uncle was the AD, my wife, but her uncle was the AD. So she has a connection with Northeast Ohio, and she just introduced herself to me and her husband is a professor, Charlie, at St. Norbert up there in De Pere, right by Green Bay. So she introduced herself one time to me at that Powder Puff football game.
Yeah, my wife was quarterback one year. Yeah, I was there.
What was her stats?
She was firing the ball for real. And there was some legit collisions. I was very impressed. It was freezing cold too.
You got to bundle up, man. But yeah, she came up to me at that thing and introduced herself, set her connection. We ended up getting involved through that.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. That's like a thing where there's a million foundations, charity, where you don't feel like you're not really sure what you're doing, even though. But yeah, if you're giving your time, that's like wow. So you would testify for the child.
Yeah, so you basically write a court report for them, and it's essentially testifying on their behalf. And you say, you're not a social worker. You're not trying to. There's not this handbook that you need to, go through the code and what they need to stand up to. But you basically just say like, hey, kid's doing well. So and so is advancing in school. He's interested in this. Maybe he had a bad day. You say this and that about the kid, and just to keep the judge, because sometimes, the crowd and the people that are, they're not lawyers, so they walk into a courtroom and the judge, people don't know how to act in front of a judge, especially if you're in the scenario and maybe the judge doesn't fully understand or get the full picture of how the child's progressing or how the family's doing. So if they get this court report written by you and saying that the kids are doing great and that they're progressing well in their home and everything, it just adds to it works to reunite the families and get the kids. It's all to get the kids moving, get the kids progressing and back to normal.
That's good stuff, man. Well, we will stay in touch for sure, and everyone will be anxiously watching you head bobbing on the field, man, for another 10, 15 years. We can't wait. Keep greasing up those refs so they love you and don't call you.
Oh, absolutely. Shaking hands, kissing babies. It'll be awesome.
That's right. That's your life, man. All right, Corey Linsley, thank you very much, man.
Thanks, AJ.
We're glad you could join us for today's conversation. After you subscribe to the show, head over to thehawkcast.com or reach out to AJ directly on Twitter at @officialAJHawk to recommend future guests that will help us inspire people to keep talking. Thanks again, and we look forward to speaking with you next time on the HawkCast.